Okay, I'm back with Coffee Break with Coachman, and today we have my dear friend that became a brother for me here in US. I can call him like my older brother. We spent a lot of time together the last few years, and I believe we have some very interesting topics to cover. I'm talking about Dr. Jonathan Levine, one of the top dentists in Manhattan, New York, and also entrepreneurial innovator with many projects in parallel from his dental office. And I want him to talk about everything from his early beginning, the first days, how he started in aesthetic dentistry, how he created a prosthetic restorative office, and also the projects he was part of, how he's been working hard to create a career that goes beyond his clinical work, and also charity. He has an amazing foundation. He's going to talk about that as well. But to start, I want to thank him for being here. We are in New York. He stopped his work, came all the way here to meet us, to record this interview, to share his experiences with all the Coffee Break with Coachman viewers. So I hope you're going to enjoy. For the next 40 minutes, we're going to cover a lot of very interesting topics that I believe will give you insights about how to build your career in a successful manner. So thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for being here with us. And
thank you, Christian. Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure to chat with you. We always have great conversations together, always drinking wine, so I want to cheer for that. Let's have a quick sip. It's Coffee Break with Coachman, but it's also wine with Coachman. We change, right? It's
depending what time it is.
It's already almost 4 p.m., so we can have a sip. Good wine.
Very nice.
And just start with your background. Who is Jonathan Levine? What is your background? Where you come from, etc.
So let's say, so I grew up here. I grew up in New York. Went to college up at Cornell, upstate New York. From Cornell, Boston University, Goldman School of Dentistry. Cornell was very interesting for me because I was a microbiology immunologist, but I was a lacrosse player. And for all you South Americans out there, lacrosse is this sport that is very popular in the States, combining soccer and basketball. But I learned very early on that...
By the way, an amazing athlete. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on. Professional level athlete, I'm talking, yeah.
But I learned very early on that if we set very big goals, and if you dream really big, and then if you think you're dreaming big, dream even bigger. But if you do it with people you love, you love to be with, magic happens. And for us, it was a culmination of 4 years, and then our senior year, we went undefeated and we won the national championship on TV, double overtime win, crazy. But it's helped set the stage for me in my thinking, which is to be collaborative, which is to be very team-oriented.
And just to highlight this for the non-Americans, college sports here in US are really like semi-professional level, super serious. And to go to the nationals, you know, it's already something huge. It doesn't matter the sport, but to win the nationals is something extremely special. So this experience with sports, how this prepared you to be a successful person? Because you're not just a great player in the team, you were the captain of the team, right?
Well, we had a very balanced team. So we were all leading scorers, the offense, our attack, 3 people were 1, 2, 3 in the country scorers, leading scorers. We were all American. So it was individually we were good, but together we were great. And that led me to understand the power of bringing people together that have a shared common vision and a shared purpose to whatever you do. So that was sports, but that quickly I started to understand how you can extrapolate that into the profession I went into, which was dentistry.
Yeah.
And if you fast forward, I went through Boston University, Goldman School of Dentistry, late 70s, early 80s. It was one of the top schools, and still is a top school, but very strong in specialty dentistry, in perio prosthodontics, before the days of implants. And it was really a specialty school. So my pals there were all specialists, small class of 40 people. So everybody came out of there, everybody becomes a specialist. Or we got a DMD degree, you would get an MD degree. So about 8 people would get also an MD degree and go into either maxillofacial or some specialty. So it was unique for that. I came out of Boston University, I came back to New York. And coming back to New York, I met literally 3-4 months of private practice working for a dentist in New York City. I met a technician named Adrian Germ. And Adrian, unfortunately, passed away last year. He leaves an amazing legacy. He was one of the very early technicians to figure out how to bond porcelain to teeth, working with John Gwinnett from Stony Brook and Harold Horn, who was the dentist at NYU. To bond porcelain.
Yeah.
So the earliest days to figure out to etch porcelain, to etch the enamel surface, which came out of Bonocore's work, and to create this sandwich with composite resin, to sandwich it together, and to do these ultra thin, what were called porcelain laminates or veneers. And this, we're talking about 1982.
1982. 1952.
So there was three of us. There was 3 of us in the country putting on porcelain veneers. It's for our patients, and I'm 26. And you know, at 26 and you're right out of dental school, you think you know something and you really know nothing. But I was very blessed to meet Adrian, an amazing, amazing person.
So the experience playing sports, and I believe there's 2 major experience there. You can play sports, individual sports, like I played tennis my whole career. You can play team sports, like I played football in college as well in Brazil. But what if you could highlight the 3 main things that you learned as a team player, a successful team, you know, because you have frustrations, you have moments that you probably thought about quitting, why I'm doing this, how hard it is to train on the weekends, not do anything else. Definitely less party during the college times.
There's no time to do anything. Cornell, we call it the blue collar Ivy League school. You're working really hard. And remember, I'm pre-med, pre-dent, so you're working really hard. And the 3 things you really learn is you get nothing unless you put your time in. So you put your time in, you learn in athletics, you learn, as we all know, you have to build capabilities and skills if you're gonna have the confidence to get out there and be good at whatever you do, whether it's music, it's performance, it's acting, it's athletics.
I think music has the same kind of
it's the same field.
preparation, right? For life.
You have to put your time in. And you put your time in and the effort in to build those capabilities, which will then positively reinforce you because you then have the confidence to go forward and to then, you know, experience and work with those capabilities. The other thing that I realized after working with my teammates is that you trust your teammates over time because you love your teammates. Because without that love and without that trust and without those, of course, those capabilities you're growing together, without that, everything falls away. But with it, truly the magic happens because you know where each guy's gonna be. So over time, you develop almost like a dance step or like music notes. So you develop this, and you know what I'm talking about, the ability to move without the ball. The guy knows exactly where you are, doesn't even have to look at you when he's making a pass, fools the defense, and the ball's in the net or the cage, whether it's
very similar to a dental office, right? Like an interdisciplinary. You can come from dental school and decide to work alone or to have a simple structure, or you can build a team and work interdisciplinarily. So I think the learnings are amazing from sports on how, you know, to deal with the frustrations, the egos, the relationships, you know, how to make everybody grow together, you know, and take the best, take the like a captain on a team, you know, you need to take out the best of every player, you know. In college, you have that team with you. It's not like a professional team where you can sell people and buy other players and build a team. In college, like, this is our year, this is our team, and you need to take the best out of each one, you know.
That's right.
You don't have all the players, not everybody will become professional, or not everybody is perfect, but you're just becoming good on making each one give their best at that moment.
That's right. And this experience changed everybody's life. And there has to be that leader. And our leader was a coach. We had a legendary coach, a coach that took us from these, young men and helped us develop over the 4 years of college. And we're very close, our teammates, because we used to go back to Cornell.
So you won the whole thing at the last year, the fourth year.
The fourth year. We won the whole thing, and then the sophomores they were sophomores when we were seniors 2 years earlier, won the next year undefeated. Then their senior year, they won the next year undefeated, only to lose the last game national championship by a goal. So they won 42 games in a row, still the longest win streak in Division I lacrosse. So it was a very interesting run that we had. I was already out in dental school, but I watched.
The year before you won, where did you lose?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So the 2 years before, we lost in the quarterfinals down in University of Maryland. Our junior year, we lost a very frustrating game to Navy that we beat during the year by about 9 goals. And so when we were seniors, we had this expression, we would not be denied. We were ready to go, and we didn't want to lose. As a cute aside about family, my twin brother played for the other team for Maryland, the national championship. They were undefeated, we were undefeated.
That's a crazy story.
My mother, before the game started, is on the field, wide world of sports, TV cameras, the game about to start. I go running up to her, I go, Mom, what are you doing on the field? You gotta get up in the stands. She goes, I'm so nervous. I go, what are you nervous about? I'm so nervous, I don't know what side of the field to sit on. Do I sit on the Maryland side or the Cornell side? I said, you sit on the Cornell side, we're gonna be winning this game. And it was a crazy double overtime game as I played against my twin brother, my fraternal twin brother. But the beauty of the sports, as you know, is what set me up in dentistry. Because for me, dentistry was too much of a solo sport. And I always wanted to understand, how do we put our colleagues together? How do we work with our technicians? How do we build? And I never wanted to be one dentist, one assistant, one hygienist office. I always wanted this team approach. So as soon as I got into dentistry, for me, it had to get reinvented. We had to change this profession because it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to be the solo climber. I wanted to be the team player and build a great team.
Another thing that I think sports also brings to the table that is very nice, it's transforming talent into reality. I always remember people on my early days as a technician saying, wow, you're talented. And today to realize that it doesn't matter how talented you are, how far away from success talent is. I think it's, as they say, talent is overrated. The talent by itself takes you nowhere, and how much hard work, if you have physically the talent to become a great athlete, the difference, the hard work that you need to put to transform talent into results.
That's right. That's right.
It's a big gap.
That's right. That's right. And look, it's the hard work and the time you put into it. And think of athletics. How many times, if you're a basketball player, you're shooting those baskets from the outside. So you put that time and that work ethic, which then translates to a high level of skill. And you then have both. You have the capabilities and you have that work ethic.
And now finishing your sports there in college and entering dentistry.
Yes.
Why did you pick dentistry? Did you thought about it since the beginning? You had family in the business? How was that process of choosing dentistry?
Yeah, for me, dentistry, how I got into it, nobody was in dentistry. We had a lot of physicians in my family, and we also had fur merchants. My father was in one of the oldest industries in the United States as a furrier. For me, sitting around the table growing up as a young man, listening to the stories of this crazy business, it's a crazy business, the fur business, that I didn't think I liked business. So it was a process of elimination that I didn't like hospitals, I didn't want to be a physician. I thought maybe I would get a PhD in biochem and stay at the university, but I liked working with my hands because I was also doing sculpture in the art school. And I ended up saying to myself, I think I would love dentistry. And so I started investigating it, and I said, you know what, let me go for dentistry, because I was a science major. So I ended up
So it was
going,
a solo journey of
It
you
was
figuring it
just
out.
figuring it out, almost a process of elimination.
Mhm.
I didn't think I liked business and like medicine, and I like working with my hands, and dentistry fit the bill. And for me, dentistry was a great choice because you could also be, you can wear many hats, as we all know. You can be academic, you could be clinical, you can develop into a great team, and you could be extremely creative in the industry. But I didn't know that then, and I took a leap of faith, a big leap of faith.
We all do that. And,
You know.
and when you finished dental school, what was your gap between dental school, private practice, the specialization program? Did you do enroll back to back? Did you?
No, I right out of dental school, you didn't need a GPR back then. I went right to work. I thought maybe I would go, because BU was very strong in periodontics, I thought maybe I would go into perio, but I really loved more of the aesthetic and the restorative dentistry. And then I met Adrian Jerome, and I started doing aesthetic dentistry.
But you were working.
I was working
for another dentist.
I was working for a very innovative periodontist who decided no longer to send patients, and he brought in some restorative dentists. So it was kind of one of these early multi-specialty practices in
Here
New
in
York
Manhattan?
City.
In
New
New
York
York?
City, 119 West 57th Street. A dentist named Howard Marshall, and he was a well-known periodontist. And when he did that, he like broke all the rules. He brought me in as restorative dentistry because I knew another periodontist that was there, and I came in with another young dentist, and we started doing immediately restorative dentistry cases. Then when I learned how to do porcelain veneers, my practice really started to take off because I was one of the only people doing them. This is 1982, 83, 84.
How many years until you went back to school?
And I went back to school 4.5 years later because I had friends who were prosthodontists, and I felt that I needed to learn the fundamentals of prosthodontics to become the best that I can be. And one of the things I didn't mention was from athletics, which is to be the best you can be. Which is not to say that you're going to be the best.
Not be the best.
But to put the work in.
Not better than the other, but the best
To be
you
the best
can be.
you can be, personally. Personal mastery, to be the best of what you can do, to hit that level, to get to that next level. That's my chosen profession, and I want to have that level.
2 questions. What would you, if one of your kids would go to dentistry, they didn't, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, they kind of coming back to dentistry somehow, but anyway, if you had a son a kid in dentistry, how many years you would tell him or her between dental school and specialization?
Yeah.
And how important you think is to have that specialty degree for your success?
Yeah.
Because as an aesthetic dentist, we see that many restorative dentists are not prosthodontists. So do you think the prosto specialization was key for your success?
I think specializing and getting to that next level, especially the restorative dentist to the prosthodontist, I think is a very interesting educational journey and very good. But having said that, you can still be a phenomenal restorative dentist by backfilling with courses, with occlusion
With
courses,
mentors and
having the proper mentors to go to that next level of restorative dentistry. And of course, it also depends on the program.
For example, you had, 2 years of specialization in prosto?
So back then, it was 2 years of specialization. As soon as I got out, I went to the Pankey Institute down in Miami, and I studied, and we did 4 or 5 of those sessions, which we took a deep dive in occlusion. I then studied with Peter Dawson, and I learned a lot about occlusion and functional occlusion. So that integrated with my perio background of BU, and then it integrated with my pros, and then my functional.
Business-wise, marketing-wise, do you think your degree, not clinically, let's pretend that clinically, knowledge, etc., but business-wise, marketing-wise, do you think your degree helped your business somehow? Do you think makes a difference to the patients? Do they value that fact?
I don't think the patient in general knows the difference between a general dentist, a restorative dentist, and a prosthodontist. And what's happening today in the specialties, as we all understand, is that the general dentists, restorative dentists are the feeders. And they have the ability to create these multi-specialty dental practices by bringing the specialists into their practices. So a lot of the specialists and the young specialists are becoming more of the specialists that go to various dental offices to do the oral surgery, to do the perio, to do the endo. In the old days of the endo, perio, everybody setting up their own practice is starting to go away. And the multi-specialty dental practices, putting them under one roof, is becoming more of the norm as these multi-specialty dental practices and DSOs, dental service organizations, are growing within the industry.
But do you think, let's say I'm a young dentist, I'm already working as a restorative dentist for 5 years, I'm thinking about going back to school to do prosto because of the reputation, the degree, I want to learn a little bit more, full mouth rehabilitation, function, go in depth, and I have two options in front of me. Going back to school for two years and doing the official program, or working at the top dental office that does prosto at the highest level and work with mentors on a daily basis to learn all these things and maybe combine with a COIS program or invest on private education plus working at the top office. Let's say I have the opportunity in New York to go to NYU and do a prosto program, or I need to travel to LA and I had an opportunity to meet an amazing mentor, and he opened the doors to be there with him for 2-3 years and learn everything he does in full mouth rehabilitation. And you cannot combine both. Let's say which one you think?
If you can't combine both, I would say it depends on the program and the leadership in that program. Because there are some programs that you're going to get such a high level of both functional occlusion and integration of aesthetic concepts that it's going to be a unique opportunity, and you'll probably learn how to place implants also. And then you're going to take that knowledge and now go to that dental practice that has that unbelievable group. But if you don't have access to that kind of education, you're probably better off getting into that high-level dental.
So it's all about the mentor. You really need to think who's going to take over you at the dental school, at the prosto department, which department you're going, who is at that moment there running. Better to meet him in congresses, really create a relationship, have the channel, and compare this with the private office and how good that mentor is, right?
100%. I know prosthodontists who go to certain schools, and I am amazed at what they haven't learned, and then I know prosthodontists that I'm amazed at what they have learned. I know myself, I had amazing mentors at NYU prosthodontic program, that they're no longer there, but I had mentors like Dennis Tarnow and Harold Litvak and Alan Silverstein and Vinny Salenza, and these great teachers, that it was an amazing experience, and it made it worth the while, because when I went back, I was 4.5, 5 years out. My wife was pregnant with our first child, Julian. I was in a full-time pros program, and I had to support my family. I worked 3 nights a week and a Saturday. I weighed about 160 pounds, about 25 pounds lighter, and I was working probably about 70 plus hours a week. But I did what I had to do. I was excited about doing it. You know, and you just put the work in, you put the time in. And I'm happy I did it, because it probably did change my life from a standpoint of going up to that level, and personally for the confidence of knowing what you know.
Yeah, it definitely gives you more confidence, at least among the colleagues, you know, having that specialty behind you when you're talking to people, and I think that's a great message of really understanding the mentor and opening the channels of communication with the mentor. I usually tell people that the shortcut is picking the right mentor, right? Having and creating a relationship with him. And you know, when you become somebody that people want to follow you, you know, you have people from all over the world coming, wanting to be the person, and among that crowd of young professionals, you pick some people, right? So I always try to understand and teach my young colleagues how to become that person that the mentor will pick among the crowd, because that's winning the lottery. That's when the shortcut happens. You know?
That's right. That's right. Because they take you on their journey with you.
And they can't take everybody.
And they can't take everybody. And when you think about who is that person that gets chosen, because I think about people who I've brought into my life over the last 25, 30 years of a career, it's the people with the passion, right?
Mhm.
It's the people who are excited about what we're doing. You can't teach passion, you can't teach emotional intelligence, the ability to relate, but we can teach almost everything else. And that passion
I think
translates.
you mentioned, I would say, and I would add one more, I think passion combined with emotional intelligence, so we can definitely pick, because you can have among the group that passionate young guy, but you see no human skills, no relationship skills,
That's
and
right.
and that is
That doesn't
a problem. So
That's a problem.
you don't pick that one, right? So you want to see the passion, you want to see emotional intelligence, and you want to see as well that proactive attitude of being willing to do whatever it takes, right?
That's right. That's right.
Really swiping floors.
That's right.
Teacher, mentor, please, I can do anything that is needed. I know, and the confidence. Really, mentors usually pick the one that dares to say something like, you will not regret. If you pick me, you will not regret. I can add value to you. You are the mentor, I'm nobody, but I'm bringing something to the table, right? So I believe young people, they need to really prepare themselves quickly to bring something to the table, even if it's to, I will do your slides, or I help you with the pictures, or
whatever it needs.
Yeah.
We call that grit and determination. Angela Lansbury wrote a beautiful book called Grit. And you're talking about that grittiness to do anything that it takes, to work hard and to hang in there. Because a career in the beginning and during and in the middle, there's ups and downs. And there's moments where you can doubt yourself, but you have that grittiness that just keeps you determined. So I think that's a great third attribute for a person. I agree with you. Yes.
So let's move a little bit. You have your background on sports, amazing background preparing you to have that grit, right? That determination, proactiveness, the hardworking spirit, team spirit. And then you get into the dentistry, you have the early steps, you become a prosthodontist. And then from that moment, really definitely today, one of the most well-known top aesthetic dental offices in Manhattan. So from being a great prosthodontist, and that's something I teach all the time, right? From being a great prosthodontist to become a great successful prosthodontist, there's also a big gap, right? There's also a big gap there. You need to understand business, you need to understand marketing, even if it's intuitive. You need to conquer people, you need to bring people to your side. You need to be cool, you need charisma. It's very hard to succeed alone without charisma and the cool factor and knowing how to relate with people. So how did you became this successful, well-known, charismatic dentist, that is interacting with the highest society in town? Were you always, as a family, were always at that level, connecting with the super high-end people in Manhattan, or you inherited, or you actually created that?
Yeah, no, I think of myself with a dad who was blue-collar mentality, fur merchant, worked extremely hard, traveled a lot, but humble. And so this kind of, I feel from both my grandparents and my parents to be a humble person. And it's a journey. It's such a journey, and it's very iterative. So, coming out of the prosthodontic program, opening up a practice, I had some money saved. I was able to purchase a condominium on professional space, which was a very good financial move. And I shared space with a colleague. I took upstairs, he took downstairs. He rented because I owned it. And in a couple of years, his practice grew too big and my practice grew too big, so I took the whole space. But it was very iterative as we grew. I must say that there's 7 of us in my practice today that we've been together for over 25 years. So we grew together, and for me, the one thing I knew to be true was that I always wanted to create a special environment to work in. We call it dental heaven, but it's the perfect place. So it's to have the right people on the bus, as Jim Collins says, in the right seat, so doing the right things, and to create this environment that people couldn't duplicate, that they would always want to be there. And because I took on the running of the practice over the decades. I would run the practice, I would do the human resource, the hiring, but I always tried to make it very collaborative and to bring people in. And some people in the practice were great in the laboratory technician, some people were very good in creating the multidisciplinary workflow, but whatever it was, we had a shared capabilities and people did what they do best. We call it core competencies. And this built, but over time. And so, you know, as a friend of mine says who has a huge restaurant company, he says, I'm an overnight success in 25 years. And that's what it is. It's every day, you know, you try to get a little bit better.
But focusing on the relationship with patients, right?
Yes.
Because
Of course.
I've been traveling around first as a technician, meeting so many dentists, and then now connecting with the top dentists all over the world. And I always see, you know, so many different people with different backgrounds. The top most successful dentists in the world, they're so different, all kinds of cultures and backgrounds, but they all have something in common, and that's the skills to deal with people, to bring people to your side, to communicate, to engage, right? This was something natural since you started, you know, patients you were just good with people.
I think there's, we develop skills of communication over time. For me, it was equal focus on the people I worked with that we brought together and focus on our patients from a standpoint of having almost an amazing customer service patient experience. So you need a team to do that, and you're focused on the patient for them to have the highest level of care possible with an amazing experience. That takes communication. That takes the ability to build a team, to inspire people to be the best they can be. You know, I always believed in education and people taking courses or going to the next level. As you know, I have a very interesting practice today. We have 26 people. Out of 26 people, 17 are dentists, 11 Brazilians. Our assistants are not assistants. They are all focused on the team, and whether they're experts in clear aligners, one-day dentistry, CIRAC, one-day restorations, digital smile design, working with your team. They have this amazing skill set. So, and that happened over a number of decades to get to that point. But communication, inspiring people,
and how do you make the
leadership.
patients value that? How, because a new patient comes, you know, do you have a conversation that brings this value?
I think it's outside industry approach. You know, I remember early days, so Ritz-Carlton had a course. It was this 5-star customer service approach. It must have been 1994, 1995. My whole team, I took them there. We all learned what's the Ritz-Carlton approach. We learned very early on what is the customer service concept that we can apply to dentistry. Because if you take an outside industry approach, hospitality, how do we apply it to dentistry? Manufacturing, you know, right first time. So that's a Japanese concept and thinking of Kaizen, one right first time. So no remakes in dentistry. So we have operational excellence at the same time of...
It's a complex business.
It's, dentistry is a complicated business, very complicated.
Yeah.
And you have to, like biology, you have to break it down into individual units to understand.
It's complicated, it's stressful, we talk about this all the time, and that's probably the reason why many successful dentists like you, they try to create parallel businesses, opportunities, you know, to be able to slow down. One thing is to create a dental office that has an amazing team that can run even when you're on vacation or you're taking time off. That's one important thing. The other important thing is become a businessman, an entrepreneurial businessman. And this is something that you always also, as a dentist, was a pioneer or was one of the guys that really, since the beginning, tried to create parallel opportunities. So
Yes.
what were the opportunities and your ideas and the reason why you started this business to create this independence, maybe this leverage?
Yes. Well, why I love you so much And I share the concept of taking risk. I share the concept of pushing the envelope and getting out of a comfort zone. So I try to inspire both myself, my own family, people around me. Let's do more. Let's push the envelope. And dentistry, I always tell the young dentists, because I ran this advanced aesthetics program for a number of years, very tied into continuing education at NYU for about 17 years and teaching there for 25 years. The ability to test your ideas and to practice clinically and to build a practice, it all can happen on the same platform. The dentistry is a beautiful platform. So
and not be afraid of failing, right?
Never be afraid of failing, because we learn the most from our failures. I'm a very big fan of a concept called agile innovation. So this is a concept from Eric Ries and Blank, a fantastic book, but it's the idea to test your hypothesis as a minimal viable product, and then once you've gotten this learnings back, this iterative feedback, then you take it out further, and that's when you make the capital investments. Now, I learned that only the last 7-8 years, but in the early days, it's taking risk, it's stepping out, whether it's buying a space at 923 Fifth, it's condo space. I don't know how I actually bought it because I didn't have too much money in the bank, but it happened, and it helped propel me to own a space and not to pay rent. And then 15 years later, some landlord throws me out, but we own this space. So it's concepts like that where you take the risk. You hire a person, you maybe brought on a couple of extra people, but I wasn't worried about having that expense because I knew it would be in the long run much better. So it's that long run, that down the road thinking, not for the short term, that really helps, and it's taking risk in any of the
I like
ideas
the
we might
concept
have.
of taking risk, going as fast as you can, moving as fast as you can, to fail as fast as you can.
Yes.
If you're gonna,
We say fail fast.
Fail fast.
We
Right?
say fails fast, but we also say move slow to go fast, which means test your hypothesis is the move slow part. But then,
When
if
you
you
go,
realize
go.
it's not the right direction, then they call it the pivot. Then you can make the swing the other way and now run down that other road. And that's why you always want to test. So for me, we started a business very early on with my colleagues where we all came together with our practices and we put it under a corporate umbrella. And that was a very interesting exercise. We had multiple founding partners and we had businessmen working together, and it was one of the first dental service organizations in the late 90s. That eventually broke up, and then I started a company called Go Smile because we were developing products in my office, and that launched Go Smile, which we had about 7 patents on a delivery system for whitening. We ended up selling that company in 2008. We had some foundation work we were doing at the same time, and then literally 3.5 years later, when my non-compete ran out, we started a company called Glow Science. And today, Glow Science has 22 patents on a medical device. We're in about 3,000 dental practices. Also, we have consumer products. My wife has helped me and been my business partner in my Go Smile business. She does the branding, packaging. We call her the secret
By the
weapon.
way, beautiful, very cool. Yeah.
She's our secret weapon. She goes on HSN or QVC to sell product, and that's what she does today. And she works with the team over at Glow Science, and we are enjoying a very, very excellent team at Glow Science as we build that business. So what we always say is you start in one place, but you end up in a very different place because the journey
So
takes
you
you
had
to
the
multiple
3
places.
examples, so it's very cool to see because you had a first idea that actually didn't work, and you lost time and probably money as well, and then you have an idea that worked and you sold the idea, and then now you have an idea that you're still on the investment phase of putting money. So if you combine all these parallel business projects financially at the end, this was positive, or it took more time and energy from your clinical work? If you had put all this time in your office, what is the analysis you do
Well,
today?
the analysis, there were amazing learnings. Number one, numero uno learning is the most important thing of starting anything, a dental practice, business, a new business concept, an educational platform like DSD. It's the people that you surround yourself with, the most important thing. You have to have people that are aligned with your value system. So one of the biggest problems that I had in the first company, we had misalignment with the people I brought to the table. The second company, why I sold it early, is that the investor I allowed in, we had misalignment. So the third company, I learned a little better, and I realized these key people we bring to the table, you really have to do your diligence and spend time with people to make sure that you have a shared vision of where you want to go, and that the operating system, which is your value system, honesty, integrity, trust, passion, all of these core values, that you share them, that they are in common. And of course, that will drive your purpose. And so, I learned that for me was the most important thing. When I think about why some things were successful and why weren't, it always comes down to the human resource, the people.
100%. Yeah. So now you're on this journey. The company is, I've been following your existing company, Glow Science, super cool products, and I had friends investing on your company, becoming partners.
Yes.
Very cool to see that happening. And you just told me recently that finally things are starting to move.
So
how many years of investment?
That took 6 years to get to the point where the growth is generating profits, that we have a very nice growing business both in Europe now, United States, and we're about to go to Brazil. We have a really strong team, not big, but very, very strong. So we have a profitable business, which has allowed us now to reinvest those dollars. We have about 21 patents in that company, so we have some new products that we're going to be launching. But it's a company that I'm very proud of, that took a long time to get to that point, where that inflection point of a cash flow positive, profitable business.
Make the curve, right?
That's right.
And you have two great boys, two great kids that I had the pleasure to meet and hang out. Great guys, super cool guys like you, like Stacy, your wife.
Thank you.
They were not in dentistry,
No.
right? They were young entrepreneurial guys as well, business school, right? And
They went to Cornell, undergraduate business, not microbiology or biology, and lacrosse players.
And lacrosse players. So I go to your house, there's lacrosse all over.
Lacrosse all over.
Right, lacrosse all over. Did you wanted them to follow dentistry? Did you had that the kind of...
They told me recently, they said, Dad, you're always complaining about the profession. Because what happened, as you know, is that we had this foundation, and we went to Africa, and we went to California with LA Cares. We did things in Harlem Children's Zone, and then we realized that we wanted to do more closer to home. My patient Lenny Kravitz said, can you come to Eleuthera, which is in the Bahamas? We ended up doing multiple missions down there. Our fourth one 2 months ago, 55 people, medical and dental, treating about 480 people. The boys came to me on the second mission, and they said, Dad, we never understood what you did. People would walk in with no teeth, with black teeth, terrible oral disease of decay and periodontal disease. They would walk out either the next day or 3-4 hours later with a beautiful smile. They said, Dad, you're changing people's lives. We want to start a brand all about the power of the smile. So they went into the product business, launched a toothpaste company.
And what they had, both of them had successful,
Very successful
jobs already.
Private equity for Julian, and Cody was on his rise of digital strategy and digital marketing.
It's beautiful
amazing
to see
agency.
brothers, they're coming together and
Partners.
thinking, let's be partners, let's quit what we have, and let's become partners and start from scratch.
That's
and go back to Dad's business, go back to the smile, go back to dentistry.
My funny joke is you millennials are really smart. You go into the family business without going to extra 7 years of school.
Yeah.
Right? So you catapulted right over those 7 years.
That's smart.
That's smart. But we're very excited about them. It's really a family affair because they're Twice toothpaste business.
And that's the business name, Twice, right?
And you go smiletwice.com, and they have a toothpaste. It's all about developing a regimen. They have a toothpaste for the morning.
Super
and a
cool
toothpaste at
Instagram.
night.
They're cool guys, super cool Instagram. So there's a black toothpaste and
For
a
the
white.
night, and
That's twice, right?
And you have to brush twice for your health.
Yeah.
And the studies, millennials only brush once. And 70% of that age group has gingival inflammation and gingivitis. So they have more products coming up. Their partner in their toothpaste business, founding partner, is Lenny Kravitz, because we have become very close as a family. And he's also, you know, very much into charity and giving back, and their company, like our Glow Science company, supports our Glow Good Foundation and our missions.
So the Glow Good Foundation, you started with the support from Lenny Kravitz, sponsored by your Glow Science company.
And my practice.
And the practice.
Really, the core is the practice.
Yeah.
The whole team comes, and it changes their feeling, because they come down there,
That's
they
amazing.
come back, they are so inspired to help people, and that is a very special thing, because it drives purpose for what we do. You know, what we do.
So you had
it's
4
amazing.
missions there, 4 missions.
4 missions in Eleuthera. Everyone gets better. Next year, it looks like we're going to have a building that we're going to have a fixed place where we can set up the free medical dental clinic, and we can work with universities to put externships in there. So we're working on that very hard. And now we're also looking to partner and do things more locally. So that's what's coming
So
up.
you
We're
really
excited
want to
about
grow
it.
the
We
project.
really want to grow the foundation now.
And
And because it helps connect the dots of everything that we
no,
do.
it's fundamental key for every level of happiness that you can imagine and success, right?
That's right.
And by growing the foundation, how can people volunteer? How can people help? If you know?
Yeah, so if people go to glowgoodfoundation.org, you can reach out to us, because what we want to do is we want to inspire people to do what we're doing. We're going to be creating toolboxes for people to understand where they can do the same thing locally. We're going to have a concert this year in the fall with Lenny Kravitz and with other singers, friends of his, to raise money
I'm a huge
so that
fan,
we
so-
can build a big infrastructure, so that we can spread what we're doing throughout, not only in Eleuthera, but to do things in the United States and also globally. And we're
Maybe in
looking,
Brazil.
we would love to do it. You know, so you can do just so many things, but for us, and for me personally, where I am in my career, I'm very excited about the foundation, where, you know, we call it this purposeful life. It's a Japanese expression, ikigai, and it's a wonderful book, Ikigai. But it's living a purposeful life. And as you grow in your career, to be able to give back to people that are less fortunate, that don't have access to what we have and we can take for granted, is an amazing personal feeling, and it inspires me today.
It's fundamental. That's great. I think great story, great career. I think all our community members will enjoy this process. I know that Jonathan has always his doors open, so
Absolutely.
whoever wants to interact, you know, through social media, write questions, connect with Jonathan and his team, even understanding more how maybe become a volunteer to the project.
Be
you know?
wonderful.
And that would be
Fantastic.
great. So I want to thank you again, Jonathan. I think it
my-
was a great,
My pleasure, thank you.
great story, great conversation, and
If you want to get hired,
yeah.
if you're a Brazilian.
Yeah, if you are a Brazilian and you want a job in New York, that's
Please.
definitely one of the
That's
best.
the channel. Contact me.
Please contact me.
He loves Brazil. That's the reason why we connect so good, maybe, right? One of the reasons.
One of the major reasons, and many more.
Yeah. So thank you again.
Thank
One
you,
more
Chris.
sip.
It's great to have coffee and now some
Yeah,
Pinot with you.
it is better.
I can't
The camera already captured that.
until tomorrow.
Why?
I get better looking every day. Bam, you bring it home. Thank you, my friend.